Hey folks, welcome back, Open Pagan Church. Good to see you. Well, have you ever thought about, have you ever wondered, have you ever contemplated creationism or evolution? Well, as always, I have my own 2 cents about it all. So, we'll be talking about that and a few more things right after a word from our sponsor. Hey folks, alright. Our sponsor is a PS4 format Conan Exiles server called XN. Yep, XN server. They've redone their server, and here are the new stats, so pay attention. Almost official stats: 4x harvest and XP rates, zero.8 in your crafting and thrall conversion, official days and nights, admin, map rooms, steel starter tools at Welcome Center, no gods allowed, LOL, random admin events, including raid bases and kill boxes, active admin, contact through PSN at Mystic Fae on Discord, and I'll let you read out that Discord address. Please be sure and check them out. Have a great day. Thank you for watching. Alright, good deal. Yep, our topic today will be creationism versus evolution. Well, let's bring in Discord. Good morning, Discord. Hope everyone is doing well this morning. Yep. Looks like we lost Robert.
Well, looks that way.
Yeah, bless his heart. Alright. Well, here we go. Creationism or evolution, or both. Well, let me lay out my thoughts on it, and let's see where y'all take it. Looks like we got a few people watching us this morning. Can you have evolution without creationism? Without creation, is there evolution? And if we go down the rabbit hole of creationism, where did it all begin? How did it start? Where was the spark? What caused it? Who caused it? Was there even a who that caused it? This topic may find us going down the rabbit hole today, and that's okay, because every once in a while we need a good rabbit hole topic, and this is a good one. My thought is, I'm a believer in the Big Bang Theory. And I'm also kind of sort of a believer that there were certain forms of life in the form, of course, of microscopic, single-celled amoebas. What the hell do they call amoebas? What are they called?
Amoeba, yeah, amoebas.
There you go. I'm kind of the mind that the meteorites and everything else that was hitting Earth, I'm thinking that has a little bit to do with the beginning of the single-celled organisms that started out on the planet. Well, there's your creation. Okay, but here's the question. Was creation and evolution every time something evolves into or with something else, does that not constitute creationism as well? What do y'all think?
Go ahead, Lester.
Preoccupied at the moment.
Okay. You're saying that creation was it done by microscience, or was it created by God? You going down that path?
Oh, I'm going down whatever path it takes us down because being of a scientific mind and a man of spiritualism myself, I don't know that I necessarily believe that a single solitary male God twisted his nose one day and suddenly decided, poof, you're a human. But I do believe that gods and goddesses, as a spirit level, had some type of influence on the evolution of creationism. Does that make any sense?
In a religious sort of way, yeah.
Well, understandably, back prior to the philosophy of science, right? Religion was all they had. So humans tried to come up with an explanation for everything that happened, right?
Right.
So it's my thought that since the beginning of,
Evolution
well, no,
or creation.
I'm trying to word it right. Now, I personally do believe that over millions of years, man, as we put it, evolved from a ape type species. Okay? But DNA science tells us if you track it back far enough, you begin to lose track of where it all come from. And some scientists, and I'm going to say some scientists, believe that it all came from one black female in Africa.
Lucy!
Okay, so I can see the logic of that. And being of the persuasion of gods and goddesses, masculine and feminine, we all know the fact of the matter is, right now, at this day and time, you cannot produce a child without a female egg, and the female egg has to come from a female human. Anybody disagree with that?
No, that's scientific to the core.
Yeah.
Say again?
So that's scientific to the core. There ain't no denying it.
Right, okay.
Now you can take that egg and you can put it in a test tube and you can fertilize it, you can grow it, but without that female to begin with, you don't have that egg.
Right. And right now, in 2021, according to science, you cannot fertilize a female egg without a male sperm. They can, huh?
That's science.
That's science. They can synthesize the male sperm. They can synthesize the female egg. But you still gotta have a swimmy thingy and a receptacle for the swimmy thingy called an egg. Now, the rabbit hole is when a sperm injects into an egg and fertilizes that egg, in my mind, that's creationism. Because you created something from something that wasn't there.
Agreed. Yeah.
Thoughts?
Agreed.
That's the basis of creationism.
Right.
It's just not even the human body, like the plant people, Lester. If you get
Yeah.
two different plants, you cross hybrid, whatever. But isn't it creating a new species of type?
Yeah, you can cross pollinate a plant to get a new species. It's the same species, you just get a new type of the same species.
So it's creative. It's creatism.
Creationism.
Yeah.
Like what the Dutch did with the tulip.
Right. All right. So, can you have evolution without creationism?
Well, no. I mean, they go hand in.
And see, that's the whole point. We get these people that, and I mean no disrespect to the Christian philosophy, but
It's the Christian philosophy.
let's get a
5,000 years old.
right, right. There were no humans on Earth until Adam and Eve. Bullshit. But the whole thing that's always interested me about the conversation of creationism and evolution is you can't have one without the other.
My biggest problem with creationism theory and Christian Bible was it did not create the world in 7 days. Okay, what's a day to God? He's infinite. He has no time frame. A day to God might be 30,000 years to us.
Right. Well, it's the same way with the pagan philosophy and our gods and goddesses. Every time we're in meditation, and Spirit Guide says it's going to happen in time, you just have to be patient.
Right.
Whose time?
Their time or our time?
Right.
Our time's clear.
Their time ain't got no time. Like Lester said, 1 minute to them may be 30,000 years to us, and, well, I'm sorry, in 30,000 years, I'm not going to give a damn.
That's just like the Catholic Church does recognize it's evolution now. Pope Francis recognized it.
Well, they've recognized it for quite some time, but they just didn't want to admit it.
Right, right.
Yeah. He said the God is not the man or a magician, but the creator who brought everything into life.
But see, here,
Evolution in nature is not the consistence of motion of creation.
well, let me ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
When the earth was a ball of fire,
Right.
and meteorites and comets, and we all know comets are balls of frozen ice. Meteorites are chunks of different types of metals and other things.
So did the meteorites and the what you just said?
The comets,
Comet, did they create the Earth? Scientifically now.
well,
Because one's ice and one's can make mountains.
we know.
Well, no.
Go ahead. No.
Life was created on Earth because of the meteors and comets. Because once water, the ice, meteors came to Earth, water happened. the Earth was always Earth. It was just liquefied. When it was a ball of fire, it was just molten Earth.
Right.
And as the ices hit the Earth, it caused pockets to form and harden. And then more would hit, and then eventually we had water. Life began on planet Earth in water.
Right. And the single cell organisms or multi cell organisms that were trapped in the frozen ice begin to thaw. Right. So, and when I had this conversation with a Catholic priest once that was taking my computer classes in Beaumont.
His saying was, well, who put that life there first?
And that was his question, and he wasn't being arrogant or smart. At this point, we were two sociologists sitting there talking about different thoughts and ideas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, who created the comets that populated the Earth with the single cell organisms? I said, that question has yet to be answered.
That's called the Big Bang Theory.
Say again, Lester?
I said, that's called the Big Bang Theory.
The Big Bang Theory, right. But, anytime you have a theory, then there's no base fact as of yet. Now, here's the interesting thing about the pagan philosophy. The pagan philosophy is built on a combination of beliefs and reality, science, and what is and what is not. And my chosen path, of course, is shamanism. Shamanism is based around a mixture of science, energy, and belief. Okay? So when we're talking about the idea of creationism and evolution, we find ourselves down an interesting rabbit hole of where did it all come from? I don't pretend to have that answer. I know what we read in science, and I know, what we see when we start studying evolution. Charles Darwinism is a very interesting study, which really supported the idea of evolutionism. Hell, I can't talk today. But where can we take this thing? I mean, let's go down the rabbit hole a little further and hypothesize if creationism came from aliens. I went there, okay? Like I said in the beginning, this is going to be a rabbit hole conversation. But all right, let me ask you a question. What's the definition of an alien?
Something not of this world.
Okay. What is a comet?
Something not of this world.
Where did creationism come from?
Out of this world.
We all came from aliens, folks.
Look at the temple.
That's kind of basically explaining everything, but
Pyramid.
conspiracy nuts out there.
Well, yeah, I mean,
there's a difference between little green men
well,
and
hell,
an alien invasion.
we don't know what color they were, and as far as an alien invasion, quite frankly, I think we're all aliens invading this poor, wonderful planet. You take a look at what humans are doing to Mother Earth. It's like, holy shit.
Horrible.
But
But we are a plague on Mother Earth,
Well, we
plain and
are.
simple.
We are. And we have evolved into the plague on Mother Earth. I mean, you think about it back during the Neolithic period, human beings of the Neolithic period had nothing to depend on but Mother Earth for the bounties and the supplies in which they had. Several societies, especially the Native Americans and the Aztecs, according to latest studies, when they planted and they harvested, they gave thanks to the Mother Earth. When Native Americans killed an animal for food, they gave thanks to the animal spirit prior to skinning the animal. And I found it rather interesting remembering back when I was 8, 9, and 10 years old and my grandfather was teaching me how to hunt. My grandfather was not a religious man at all. He was probably one of the truest forms of an atheist I think I've ever met. But yet, when we went hunting and fishing, every time he shot a deer or any animal, when he strung them up by their hamlocks, prior to skinning and after the slitting of the throat to bleed the animal, if that grosses somebody out, I apologize. But when he would string an animal up by their hamlocks and bleed them, he always said to the animal, "Thank you for your life." That kind of, I was always raised, to thank the animal for their life, so I just automatically did that when we would fill strip bulls, you know. Um, when we would fill strip bulls for the freezer.
Right.
So it really all kind of comes down to everything as far as creationism and evolutionism, I think. Everything supports everything else. I don't really think you can have one without the other. Because if we think about the comets that brought the water to Earth to begin with, of course, the one thing that science has not been able to do yet, they're doing it now, is capturing samples from comets while still in outer space to see what forms of cellular life is trapped on these comets. I don't know if anybody's been following that,
Yeah, I have. Uh-huh.
but I'm on several channels where I am always watching what they're finding on comets. Places like NASA, SpaceX, all of that. So I mean, as we get more in tune with being able to survey and take samples off of comets and passing meteors, I think we're going to learn more about the science of how life on Earth began. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think we're starting to, how can I say, we're starting to learn how Earth was made and the human race getting more in tune with it, like you said.
Well, they already know how Earth was made, right?
Right.
The $1 million question is how life began. And like Lester was saying earlier, it began with liquid water.
Okay, it began with the water, the earth. But without using religion, how was it born for man and woman?
Well,
Is it
the science says evolution used creation, each species that evolved from another species. Like, for example, land creatures started as water creatures because, well, water was the
liquid?
foundation.
Right.
You know, you have these single cell creatures that evolve into multi cell creatures, and over time, these creatures evolve into something else, and this evolves into something else, which creates something else. So we can't have evolution without creationism, because each time, like we were saying earlier, each time a male and female egg come together, they create something slightly different from their parents. I mean, you think about the reality of it. I look a little bit like my biological mother, and I look a little bit like my biological father. And I also have some traits of my biological grandparents. So it's in that evolution of creationism, because otherwise, if there wasn't evolution, I don't think there would be humans. Just my thought. What do y'all think?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Y'all are refusing to go down the rabbit hole with me here. This isn't fair. And nobody's chatting.
All by yourself.
Oh, come on. I mean, Lester, I've left the door open for you several times and left the door open for anybody that may be watching in chat, and nobody's jumping. I can't believe it.
Are we talking about the jump word the creation about the God?
We're talking about the whole thing. What is your philosophy on it? Don't repeat my philosophy, repeat
No.
yours.
For me to understand, so I don't even try.
Oh, come on, guys.
Philosophy is okay. We're made out of eight. We are the primary future for the age. We made out of eight because we were the apes was there first, and then how did we get created? The humans. It must have been because we evolved from the apes. Because I don't think God created any Adam and Eve. I think we were created of apes, not
You can
just
you can take the Christian creation story and you can mirror it to the evolutionary story if you open your mind up and try not to think about time. Time is the key factor. You know, the Christians believe that the Earth is only 5,000 years old, maybe 6,000 now, but I don't know. But
Right.
and like I said, what is a day to God? You know, they say God made the world in 7 days. Well, we know for a fact that it takes longer for a sun and a planet to become a planet than just a day. That takes time.
Ouch.
Right.
sorry.
But it's so funny because in the early stages of the science of paleontology, in the United States, when fossils were first being found, the early paleontologists had to get help to dig up these fossils. They were looking for like the T-Rex and things like that in the Badlands of South Dakota. And the population were basically Christian-fearing, God-fearing Christians, and the priests and the preachers were calling them, blaspheming, and because the Earth is only 5,000 years old.
Right.
So it was hard for the early paleontologists to make people understand that, yes, your version of creationism is only 5,000 years old, but the Earth was here long before man.
Of course.
Now, then you get into Darwinism, which is the evolution of things, and the Christian church balked because there's no way we came from monkeys. But
right.
paleontology proved that we did come from a line of apes.
Right.
And then you got these fools that made the Planet of the Apes, and they screw everything up.
Well, I thought Planet of the Apes was a damn good movie, and if you think about it, it wouldn't surprise me if over the next 1,000 years or so, human beings don't completely actually screw it up, and, well, the apes take over again.
Well, it's the same. It's evolution.
It's evolution.
Every creature evolves as it goes along, plain and simple.
Right.
So it's not that far-fetched of a concept, but
right.
we're ways down the road.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
maybe 5,000 years from now, the apes will start talking again. Who knows?
hell, science keeps jacking with their DNA the way they are. Who knows? One of the apes may be born and look up and say, "Mama."
Uh-huh.
Well, that's when it all starts, isn't it? But
I think the only creature that hasn't evolved from its beginning is the cockroach.
pretty much.
And the alligator.
Huh?
And the alligator.
And the alligator. Man, we can't forget alligators. But we think about it, there's quite a few creatures in the ocean that still... Say what?
I said, yeah, that they're still the same way they were made when they evolved into what they are. They've been that, like the shark is a predator shark. The only difference is in the prehistoric times, the shark was as big as school buses. They shrunk down.
Right. Yeah.
And that's because of lack of food.
Right.
Apex predators during the caveman time were large, had access to large food, the mammoths, the sloth, the cave bears, things like that. When mankind started colonizing the United States, they started killing off the big animals. Well, things like the direwolf, the saber-toothed cats, the apex predators had to evolve into smaller, less ferocious creatures because of the fact that their food source was gone, so they couldn't stay big anymore. They had to evolve.
Right. So hence necessity is the mother of invention.
And it's the same way with humans. We were hunters and gatherers, and then we became farmers. We started doing animal husbandry, things like that.
Right.
Yeah, we still hunt, but we don't hunt like our ancestors did, where they would go out, they would kill creatures, and that's what they ate on for the whole season. Now we just go to the supermarket because cows are in pens and we just kill them when we need
Right, right, right. Well, it
them. So all you people out there that turn your nose up when we start talking about hunting, where do you think that food comes from?
yeah, yeah. That still drives me crazy when you know. Um, you talk to kids today, and they ask them, well, where do
That
your
pretty little chicken
vegetables
you
come
eat
from?
that pretty little chicken that you eating on Sunday night for Sunday dinner. Let me tell you, it was brought up in a big coop with about 50,000 other chickens, and it don't taste nothing like a free range chicken.
Right,
Soon as
right.
it's been raised out in the yard, running around, that's chicken.
That's good chicken. Free range, man. There is nothing better than free range eggs and free range chickens.
The only thing I eat.
They have a totally different flavor, and that's just like free range cattle. Uh, Beef that comes from a cow that was raised instead of on steroids and chemical food fed to them for slaughter, but raised on grass and wheat and the different natural things that Mother Earth provides for cattle.
Why do you
Um,
think we eat them so much? And
yeah,
wild hog.
yeah, absolutely. Um, oh, that's good stuff. But the whole damn thing comes right back to evolution.
Right.
You
And it's
can't
like the temple with evolution.
you can't stop evolution. You can change it, you can speed it up, you can slow it down, you can modify the DNA of those things that evolved from something else into something else, but you are still creating another form of evolution.
Right. Now we're getting into molecular biology.
Well, of course. And, the science of molecular biology is interesting as hell.
Another rabbit hole.
Well, it's all part of the same rabbit hole, isn't it?
From that Scottish accent.
Just a different tunnel.
I mean, think about it anyway. Think about it this way. I was watching a documentary a couple of weeks ago, and there are villages in foreign countries. I don't remember exactly where. But they learned in those villages thousands of years ago that inbreeding, right? Inbreeding, and anybody that doesn't know what inbreeding is, bless your heart, Google it. But they learned thousands of years ago that inbreeding causes major deformities. A good 80% of the time. So what they started doing, royal families, to keep the royal blood, and anybody that's done any study on British, British monarchies,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted royal blood to royal blood, so they would go to other villages and city-states, and they would find an appropriate mate for their sons and daughters of the royal blood, and they would force marry, because they learned real quick that keeping a constant, continuous, steady line of the same exact royal blood gave way to extreme deformities.
Well, the Europeans kind of screwed that up because virtually all royal blood was the same family. Birds, the Bolsheviks, the British, they were all the same family. They were just like first cousin, second cousin, you know. So you have these kings that were crowned who weren't quite fit to be a king
Right.
because they were kind of crazy. Look at King George.
Oh boy, yeah. King Henry, for example,
Which Henry? There was too many of them.
the eighth, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
Henry VIII.
Yeah,
He wasn't crazy. He
the
was
fat
smart.
guy, the fat guy, the big bald fat guy that you see all the paintings of. I think it was King Henry the Eighth. He was
He was the one that had 6 wives.
Yep.
He wasn't. He wasn't. He wasn't. Uh, his genetic problem was gout.
yes, true,
His
true.
mental capacity. He was quite an intelligent man because who can get off with marrying 6 wives and if they don't, you don't like them, you just hack their heads off.
Well, yeah, you know the latest documentary I saw, one of the abbeys, one of the royal abbeys off of the Tower of London. They located multiple women's bodies with no heads under the altar of the abbey.
Uh,
They dated them back to, I believe, Henry VIII, because every time he married a wife that gave him a daughter, she disappeared.
Any royal that was killed, that was beheaded, was buried.
no.
Well,
Mary Queen of Scots, when Elizabeth beheaded her, she buried her in Westminster Abbey.
yep, sure did, absolutely.
But King Henry used to have had a girl, they would disappear.
Yeah, but
Well, yeah, that was serving girls and stuff like that. The ones that produced bastards.
yeah.
Anyway.
So we still fall into this rabbit hole of evolution because human beings have learned through the years things that they can and cannot get by with. Now, granted, there are those that do it anyway, right? There, we can talk about societies all day long that have played with intermarital evolution, and through thousands of years they've been able to test and figure out that somewhere along the lines of third cousin down, the offspring either wasn't that bad off or they ended up okay. And of course, in history, there were some absolute nasty sociopaths.
Mm.
But it all,
Richard.
huh?
King Richard, I think, was one, not Richard the Lionheart, but the Richard before Henry, the Henrys, from the War of the White Roses. He was a psychopath.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what time period that was, but yeah, he was an absolute psychopath.
He had genetic malformations that he had a humpback and kind
Yeah.
of screwed up. His armor even proves it. But he killed his 2 nephews in the Tower. Well, he had them killed. He didn't kill them
Right.
himself, but killed because they were a threat to his throne.
Right. And there's a real good documentary on YouTube about the Tower of London.
They
Um,
actually found those boys
Yes, yeah,
just recently.
just here recently. That was covered in the last documentary I watched last week. But it still all comes right back to evolution, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
When you start playing with evolution and you start playing with DNA, now here's where I'm going to get on a relatively slippery slope. I am okay to a degree with DNA manipulation. I'm okay to a degree with micro brain implants that is being tested right now by the Tesla company. But the reason I'm okay, and like a statement I posted yesterday on YouTube, one of the YouTube channels, the implants, the cranial implants that are being tested can wirelessly connect to prosthesis of people that have lost their arms and legs to either birth defect or lost body parts to defending our country or your country or whatever country you live in. People that are amputees, these implants can communicate with these prostheses to help these people have a fuller life. Now, okay, we can go down the rabbit hole of what these implants could do for evolution. But to be perfectly honest, anybody that's known me for any length of time with my learning disabilities, I don't know if you can see my hand shaking in the video screen, but I have non-diagnosed issues with my shaking inabilities, my abilities to draw a straight line without a ruler. Looks like a freaking EKG readout. And I've always been that way. Some days are worse than others. And I have never been able to read books and be able to digest what's in those books because of my learning disabilities. Now, I've never asked for anybody to feel sorry for me. Hell, get the hell out of my way and I'll figure it out. But my thought is, call me crazy and I'm okay, but I would absolutely love to have a cranial implant that would allow me to be able to sit down and read scientific documentation.
Do you see anyone typing
I'm sorry?
on the open chat? I'm on YouTube. Has anybody talked?
I have not seen a single chat yet.
Yeah, there's no chat. I can't chat on it.
What do you mean you can't chat on it?
I just typed in hello and enter.
Alright, I just sent test across.
Yeah, but we can't type. You can, but we can't.
Well, what the hell? Why can't anybody type?
I think you have to download an open chat.
I
No?
can do emblems.
Okay, I just saw you. I just saw
Now
you
it's
chat.
started. That is weird. All right,
Allow
we're
chat. And see, I've got allow live chat to reply.
weird. Okay.
I mean,
But
I did a symbol. I did a symbol first.
Chat.
Yeah. Now I can after I sent the symbol. Or emo, whatever it's called.
oh, that's weird.
Maybe that's why nobody's talking.
Maybe not. So I will say, I apologize. We're still learning YouTube live stream here. So if anybody has any input, by all means, send me a private message because I've been trying to figure this live chat out from day one. So, you know, seriously, if you guys have any input on this live chat, how to make it stay once the broadcast is done, I've Googled it to no avail. But I have a feeling, and where I was going with what I was talking about earlier, I have a feeling that over the next 20 years, a part of our evolution is going to be manipulated by implants. I mean, I had
They're
some
already talking about putting chips that have all your personal information, your banking information in your hand.
Right. But, huh? Well, let's think about this. We carry wallets, purses, pocketbooks, cell phones, right? A lot of us bank on our cell phones. A lot of us do our banking on our computers. A lot of us have moved away from paper checks because, quite honestly, digital banking's a hell of a lot more secure than a paper check. And honestly, as far as evolution goes, I would be perfectly fine with a chip embedded in my wrist, so I didn't have to carry identification.
I've seen technology where you can actually use your phone.
Oh yeah, ePay,
Through your body.
Samsung Pay, ePay, Google Pay,
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they're creating technology now that you can actually, like on your wrist or on the palm of your hand, that your phone would be your hand.
Right.
Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not carrying a physical phone. It's the technology's
Oh.
implanted in you.
Yes.
So your phone can't be stolen. You can't lose your phone.
Right. And somebody had to come back. Well, what if they cut your wrist off? Well, the biochip quits working.
Would die.
If it's implanted in your wrist and they cut your arm off, the biochip, hence the term biometrics, the chip dies because there's nothing to power it. The chip gets the power from the electromagnetism created by the blood moving through the body. But it goes to show people's lack of want to educate themselves.
But that's the next step of evolution for mankind, is technology.
Oh, I agree. And I think,
Beeping?
huh?
Are you beeping?
Am I beeping?
There it is.
One of my UPSs are beeping. Well, we're about done anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, all right. So let's kind of pull down with this. I think that a good many of us agree, and if those of you that don't, that are watching our pre-recorded broadcast, absolutely place your thought in the chat, right? That's the way we build up discussions.
Yeah.
But I don't believe you can have creationism without evolution. And I don't believe you can have evolution without creationism. One gives way to the other. You can't create something and not have it evolve. You can't have evolution unless something's been created for it to evolve. But
Okay.
I wanna thank you guys for watching, and I'm gonna go turn that stupid beeping off on that damn UPS. But anyway, well, look, I'm all open for ideas, guys. Like I say, we're new to live stream on YouTube. We were live streaming on Facebook, and we got a whole lot more horsepower live streaming on YouTube. I think it's really nice and really cool. Check out our archive sites. Be sure and, well, click the like. Click the don't like if you don't like. And subscribe. Anyway, thank you for watching. We definitely appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time right here on Open Pagan Church.